Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Aligned Heart. And I get to do one of my favorite things, which is interview an ordinary woman doing extraordinary things. And today is even more special because the woman that I'm interviewing is my sister-in-law. And this is Jen Springer. I admire her in so many ways. She is a beautiful person inside and out, and she is creating an extraordinary life as a very ordinary woman. And like everyone that I interview on this podcast, when I asked her to come onto this podcast, she was a little bit like, well, me? and and it is a reminder that every single woman that I have brought on and the women that I work with are doing extraordinary things, and yet not one of them feels like an extraordinary woman. She feels very ordinary. But what this podcast is all about is how we create extraordinary results in our life as we co-create with God. And that sometimes that extraordinary looks a little different than maybe we thought, or what we think extraordinary should look like. But for those of us on the outside looking in, it is extraordinary. And I couldn't agree more about uh, the story that Jen gets to share today, that she is creating extraordinary results. And I'm really excited to unpack this story with her and pull out the little nuggets that are an extraordinary journey and will help all of us learn how to create those or co-create those extraordinary results in our own life. So without further ado, I would love for Jen to introduce herself. She has done an amazing amount of things in her life. I could go on and on and on about Jen and what she has created, but I'm really interested in hearing from you about just your story, where you want to begin, how you want to craft it. Would love to just hear your story and what you have to share. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank you for having me on. Again, like you said, I was like, wait, me? What? Why? But it feels good to be here and it feels good to contemplate and to reflect on maybe the things where God has been in our lives. And we can say, actually, I have had some extraordinary moments as an ordinary person because of him. So thanks for having me on. Well, my name is Jen. I live in Utah with my cute family. We have two boys and a little girl. I've been married to my husband now for, I think, 21 or 22 years, something like that. And we have lived all over the country, but we are in Utah right now. I am from California, though. I'm a fifth generation Californian. All my family is still there. I've been a makeup artist now for over 25 years. I love to do pretty makeup, but I really love to do the special effects. So all the cuts, burns, scrapes, hypothermia, and I've done that on a couple different movies, and it's just so much fun. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I just have to jump in here, and I'm just going to jump in and say she is the most incredible special effects makeup artist that you have ever seen. She transforms herself. You can find her on her Instagram. Why don't you let them know what that is? Because, like, trust me, you're going to want to check her out and check out what she creates because it's pretty phenomenal. So, just before we go any further, just let them know where they can look you up and find you.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you for that. That was very sweet. It's Classy by Jen, just one N. And you might need to scroll down a little bit, but yeah, I can turn myself into some pretty funny things. Just a funny little side note. Sometimes I like to freak out the kids or make them laugh. So I'll do these transformations super late at night. So I'll have to go to bed in that. And my husband is like, oh, please, further, scoot, especially if I'm a man or a monster. It's like, oh, heavens, will you please scoot over a little bit more? So yeah, Classy by Jen is where you can find me.
Awesome. All right. Please continue. I interrupted that, but I just felt like, oh, you my audience has to see you. So
That's that's so nice. It's really a lot of fun. I growing up in Northern California, I was always the girl that wanted to do everybody's makeup. And so I was the last to get ready for prom. I always wanted to get everybody's makeup done. And then when I moved to Southern California, I worked for a movie star and I saw, and he was an action star too. So watching his makeup artist do all of those special effects was incredible. Worked for companies like Disney and MTV and just really, really honed in on that passion I had for doing makeup. But it was a little bit of a rocky start for me. I am a classic middle child. I really need to learn things on my own, and I don't want to be told lessons necessarily. I need to live them in order to learn. And I I was asked nicely by my parents to maybe leave when I was 18 and to maybe branch out. I was not living to their standards, not I hesitate to say that because my parents are very loving people. But not only was I not living a standard of life that they appreciated, but I was really, really messing up some relationships in our home. That was mostly due to the fact that I started drinking when I was 14 years old and really didn't stop. I wasn't really sober a lot of my senior year, even. And so it was with kindness that they said, maybe you need to go and find your own way. And I was really excited about that. I thought this was freedom, right? So I moved down to Southern California, got very caught up in the Hollywood scene and kind of fell away from the faith that I had grown up with, but I knew I still wanted to praise some sort of deity. So I would look at other religions and other churches and go to revivals and go to camps and do different things. It wasn't a huge priority for me, but I wanted to belong somewhere with my spirituality. So I remember specifically loving going with my friend, and I wanted to talk to my other friends about that. And so when I was coming home from one of those camps and I was really excited, they were watching a story or a movie, excuse me, that I had grown up watching. So when I walked in, that rush of familiarity with the music that was playing, it wasn't just trickles of tears that started, but it was just streams of tears pouring out of my eyes. And the voice that I heard was, it's been here. The truth that you're seeking, it's been here all along. And I really couldn't deny that. And ever since then, I have noticed, but only when looking back, that Heavenly Father has been so aware of me, of my shortcomings, of my strengths, and of my path and where I would be happiest. And I really felt and do still feel that He's leading me there. So I decided to get cleaned up. It took a while. It was really, really hard. Disney has always been a part of my life. It's a place that me and my family would always go. It was magical. It was safe. And because it was a place that didn't serve alcohol, I would go there and spend my time there in order to stop the handshaking, stop feeling nauseous. I went through withdrawals in every single corner of that place. So that place is very sacred to me for so many different reasons. And then as I was enjoying these jobs that I had the feeling that I was supposed to go home. In fact, it was one of the first times in my life where I actually heard that voice, when he told me it's been here all along. And when he said, you need to go home, I thought, whoa, how cool. This is what people say over the pulpit in church, to the congregation. And I was feeling so special and so heard and so just important. I felt important. So it was tricky to ask my parents to come back home, but they were like, yes, we've been feeling this way too, actually. So I came back home. And then I started feeling like I was supposed to go on a mission, which made me laugh. So, an LDS mission, which I was so scared to do because I hadn't really been in a religion listening too much. I wasn't very invested. And I had just gotten sober, I just cleaned up. The year was 1999 when I officially started cleaning up my life. And I got that feeling like I was supposed to go. I'm like, oh my word, I don't know what I'm doing. But along the way, and this is what really impresses me, that throughout my life, he has been so mindful of me, which feels so unfair to me because I I looked at myself as I'm nothing. I don't deserve his second glance. I don't deserve the love that he gave me. And yet when he did, I felt so overwhelmed by it. I felt so undeserving of it, but very grateful in the same way. So as I was filling out my papers to go on a mission, I had this feeling to put some Russian. I think I knew 3 words, maybe, maybe 3 words. Something like, I don't know, where's the bathroom, and hello. That was probably it. But I decided to put that, and lo and behold, I got called to Siberia. And one of the things that I thought about was the amount of alcohol that we hear that they like to consume out there. And so I felt, oh my gosh, I can help with this. I might not be a pro at knowing all the answers to all the questions that they might ask, but when it comes to this, I can be of service. And so I went out there and met my husband. He was also serving a mission out there in the same place. And so we were able to meet. And I think the Lord was very mindful of the both of us in finding each other. And it's just been amazing. And then coming home, I still love doing makeup and I still wanted to do it. And so I've taught little classes here and there. But then when I came to Utah, I was given the opportunity. There are quite a few influencers here and bloggers and CEOs and these women that are just taking life and making things happen. And so I'm the makeup artist for a lot of them. And I love that connection with all the colors. I'm a very blue yellow. So I want that connection. I want to hear people's stories and I get it all as they sit in my chair. And so it's been really, really wonderful to be able to do that. And yeah, that's kind of what we've been doing for the last little bit. And that's a little bit of my story.
Wonderful. I love it. And I love the little nudges along the way. I love the idea of exactly what you said, that he was aware of me, that God was aware of me and my path all along, and that there were these little nudges along the way. I like to think of them as the breadcrumbs of yes. Sometimes we don't know where those nudges are taking us. We don't know what that next, we don't see the end result of that next breadcrumb. We just know the yes. Okay, yes, that's the next step. So, how has following those little nudges, those little breadcrumbs of yes, how has that maybe taken you to some places that you didn't anticipate, or how has that helped you grow as a person?
I have a story to go along with that. That's a great question. I love it. And I'm glad that you asked it. Um, I find that every time we take up that breadcrumb and say yes, sometimes there's a little bit of blind faith there, but also we can look back at our experiences to say, He's been aware of me up till now. He has prepared me for what's happening right now. It is easier for me to pick up that breadcrumb and say yes because I have experience. A story on my mission that I hold very, very sacred was I had a very hard first companion. When we're out on these missions, we're put with a companion. We're put with someone that maybe knows the area a little bit better than we do. And then when we're given a second companion, maybe we're the ones that know the area a little bit better. And so we can teach them before we go on to a different area. So we're given these companions. My first companion ever out there was Russian. So she knew the language, obviously, very, very well, didn't know English very well. So it really pushed me to speak the language. We have certain rules when we're out there. And I won't say that she was the best at following rules, and I felt a little bit lost. I felt that everything that had been said to me wasn't really happening. We weren't going and meeting with people. We weren't going and contacting. We weren't really doing a lot of the things that I thought we were supposed to do. And so one day I prayed and said, Heavenly Father, and she's still sleeping in bed. We're supposed to have been up I think she was supposed to have been up like an hour ago, but she would just constantly sleep in. And I didn't want to say anything, nor did I know how to say anything. I didn't speak the language, but I remember praying and saying, God, what am I supposed to be doing? I feel like I'm out here and it's all for nothing. I'm not reaching anyone. I'm not serving anyone. I'm not talking to anyone about the topic I wanted to speak on. And I got a very clear answer that I did not expect. And this was a weird breadcrumb. It was study your maps. My what? I'm sorry. What? My maps? Like maps, actual maps, MAPS. You want me to study maps of the area. And that was it. And it was weird. But again, I had to go back to those experiences of he has not let me down. He is leading me towards something and he's preparing me for something. So if I need to know my maps, I'm going to get on it. And even though it was weird, I started studying my maps. I knew that area so well. I knew which bus stops got us to different places. I knew where our congregation would be meeting every single Sunday. I knew how to get there if we missed the bus. We used to call them investigators, people that wanted to know a little bit more about our religion. I knew where every single one of them lived. Even if we didn't go visit them, I knew how to get there. Well, I tried to not only study my maps, but to also learn the language. So I remember coming up with this phrase because when communism fell, not only did the people have this little wooden door, but it was explained to me that they got this metal door as a shield, a protection, a thing in front of that wooden door. Most of them, you pull hard and you crank the key to lock it. Ours, you just pull it and it clicks shut. So I learned the phrase, do you have the keys? And I probably said it in the worst accent ever. But I thought I'm doing my part. I'll ask her every morning when we leave, do you have the keys? Well, I could tell I was annoying her after a couple, probably 4 days. Do you have the keys? And so one day I didn't ask, and it was the day that she didn't have the keys, and we were locked out. And we weren't quite sure what to do. She didn't want to call the elders. She felt embarrassed by that, calling the other missionaries, the boys that were in the area. And so I said, okay, well, we started going to really, really random places. Some places I knew we weren't supposed to be. It's very clear in Russia where we're allowed to be and where we're not. And we started going in places we weren't supposed to be. And by her pantomiming with the people she was talking to, I'm like, oh, she's trying to find a company or a dealership that has one of those, almost like a window washing. You get in the bucket and it pulls you up to the second level. Well, we're on the fifth level, and I know that our door is unlocked. And so I'm like, oh, that's what she's trying to do, right? Well, unfortunately, we had gone to a very, very random place. I don't even know how she found it, but they ended up assaulting us. So we were attacked by these very drunk Russian men. They started making fun of us. She had told me to take off my tag that said Jesus Christ on it so that maybe they wouldn't make fun, and also not to speak. By her telling me not to speak, I think it was to not let them know that I was a foreigner, because that might not have worked in our favor. But they were saying things to her I didn't really understand. But when they kicked her down, my gut reaction was to say something. I'm a feisty little thing. And so I'm like, guys, come on. But I said it in English, and that was a mistake. And they're like, oh, Amerikanskaya, like, oh, you're an American. So they hit a bottle over the back of my head. They kicked us. They pushed us down. We were wearing white blouses. They poured water all over us, which just made us feel very exposed and very vulnerable. Well, I remember my boss, when he learned, my ex-boss, when he learned where I was going, he's like, you get into trouble, you kick them where the sun doesn't shine. So I remember being down on my knees, looking up slightly, and I wound up and I punched hard. And I grabbed my companion and we started booking it down the street. And we were running, running, running. She lost a shoe. She almost like was pulling back to go and get it. I'm like, are you crazy? And I kept pulling her. Well, we come to a T in the road. She starts pulling right. And I know because at that moment, the maps illuminated in my head. I didn't know where we were when we were getting there, but I sure as heck knew where we were as soon as those maps illuminated in my head. And not only did they illuminate in my head, but a neon line of where we were supposed to go. And so I looked at her and I said, I know where we're going. You have to trust me. Run. And it was to the left, not to the right where she was going. And she did not fight me on that. I was actually surprised that she just went with me. And we ran and ran and ran. We ran around this building where they went straight and we kind of went up into the elevator. And I knew exactly where someone lived that we were teaching English to. And so we get up there and she helped us out. And we ended up getting back with the elders and getting our apartment moved because we had given those people our address to see if they would deliver their truck and whatever. Now, when we were sitting in that woman's living room, she was bouncing back and forth to me and my companion and making sure we were okay, speaking to me in English, speaking to her in Russian. My companion said, ask her where she's been studying her Russian. So she comes to me and asks, and I'm like, nowhere. I don't speak Russian. And she said, Sister, your companion said that at that tea, you spoke to her in perfect Russian. Now, Misty, I know I spoke in English. I know that. But in that moment, God knew that I needed to get my message across eloquently, not sounding like a little 3-year old, like maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And she needed to hear it that way. And it was such a profound, amazing experience for me that how could I doubt, even if I've pulled away a little bit throughout my life, that He will, if I allow Him, He will prepare me for anything that's going to happen. I don't think He was pleased to see that happen to two of His daughters, but He provided a way for us to get out of there. And I listened. I studied those maps and they illuminate. I can't even tell you, it was so vivid in my head and the neon line of where to go. I will never forget that, but it was very unexpected.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that and for creating such a beautiful visual of like not even just following the breadcrumbs, but following the neon sign.
Yes, exactly.
It was pretty, it wasn't even just a little subtle breadcrumb. But I love that idea that it goes back to exactly what you were saying before. I felt seen, I felt known.
Yeah.
I knew that God knew my path all along. And so as you kind of have taken those experiences and moved into what you have created in your adult life with your family, um, your your business, your makeup artist business, I've kind of watched from a distance and watched how you've taken different paths with that.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how those lessons have helped you in following those breadcrumbs or those neon signs as you've continued to create what you've created in your adult life.
I think that I've always been fascinated with surrounding people in an experience. And because I was, I think a lot of people were in one way or another, but I was very bullied in junior high, and I never wanted to make anyone feel that way. I know how it feels to have people around you that you really want to be friends with not want to be friends with you. And I not only don't want people to feel that way, but I want them to feel that they are very included. And it has been said to me a couple times, a blessing or two, um, that I'm going to have the ability to bring people together, specifically women, to bring them together and to make them feel happy and seen and loved. And again, going with that color theory, I'm a very blue. That is my highest color. And so that inclusion of not only wanting you to feel like you have a seat next to me, but I want you to take it. I want you to be right next to me. And also in my head. I've always had, since I was a little girl, these elaborate plans for what my room is going to look like, how I'm going to decorate it, or going to Disney and being surrounded by sights, smells, sounds, tastes, everything that you can think of. You're just surrounded by it. And sweet Kevin, marrying my husband, I don't know if he knew what he was getting into, but he is incredibly supportive. And so as I have honed in on this, I'd like to say it's a real God-given talent because I could not do any of these things without him. I've been able to create experiences. One such experience, I know it's really weird, but I love Halloween. I don't like gory Halloween. I don't like scary Halloween. I like the Halloween of my youth. I love fall time. I love the crunchy leaves. I love the school carnivals, dressing up as pretty princesses or scary witches, bobbing for apples, fun, bouncy music, and feeling safe. And we don't have a lot of that community as adults. That's kids, teens, and if you're lucky enough, maybe one adult in your life has ever invited you to a party where it's kind of fun, right? I need us to be better than this. I want to do this. So I love Halloween and I do a huge witches night. And I'm talking, we start in August and we build buildings and they're 15 feet tall. And we created Harry Potter in the house. And we encourage the women that come dress up. I mean, the guest list is like 230 people. And luckily, not everyone can come every single year, or else the house would be bursting. But 3 levels of absolute amazingness and fun. And it's been really interesting to have this vision and to know that I'm capable, but to know that I'm not capable of doing it alone and to pull other people into this and to show them their talents and to show them what they can do. And then to have all of these people come together and feel like they can dress up and they wouldn't be the odd man out. Everyone dresses to the nines. Everyone gets really, really creative. And we have a night that is so much fun where there's a scavenger hunt and there's different brands to look at and there's different music playing in different places. I bring my kids into it. Some of them are Sophie is my almost 10-year-old and she's quite short. So she made this cute little, you know, what was she? Professor Flitwick. And so he's tiny, right? And so she's standing on all these books and she's teaching people how to use their wands. And then all of a sudden things start floating in the air and people are like, "Oh my gosh, how did you do that?" And it's through the help of other people. But oh, Misty, I've totally lost your question. You're gonna have to edit that one out.
No, you are doing fantastic. I love that you are. This is a story of using your gifts in a totally extraordinary way that is unlike anyone else has ever used their gifts. It's not like you followed a blueprint and said, "Oh, I'm going to use my gifts of bringing people together, helping them feel like they belong, creating happiness and creating an environment where they can be seen and loved. And I'm going to do it like so and so."
Yeah, we
You
had to make
took
the
your
blueprint.
gifts, the
Yeah.
gifts that God gave you, and co-creating with him, you created something extraordinary and absolutely unique that has absolutely done exactly that, which is creating happiness, a place to be seen, a place to feel loved, a place to feel a belonging in an absolutely unique and extraordinary way.
And I
So
love that a lot
as
of these women don't know each other,
mhm.
but they're from all my walks of life and from all my clients that I've met. And they're nervous to come by themselves, but then they start being enveloped by all of these other women that just want to get to know them and love them. And so then it almost becomes like girls' camp every year. When they come, they know more and more and more and more people. And it really is important the people that you bring in, because, we've talked about healthy boundaries. And it's not that everyone is included. And it's not that I want to exclude these people, but because I have had healthy boundaries with people, I know and feel safe that the women that are there will be so loving and accepting of others. And I haven't put anyone in a compromising situation because of healthy boundaries.
Hmm. Yeah. So that actually leads into one of the questions that I have. Anytime we are creating something extraordinary, even if we don't feel like it's extraordinary in the making of it, there are doubts, fears, insecurities that we have to overcome. What were some of those for you? What, as you are, feeling like this is something that I need to be doing, this is something that I would like to be creating, what did you have to overcome to do that?
The fear that no one would come. I would feel so stupid if I had created something and spent so many months. Like I said, we started in August for something that was going to happen in October. My biggest fear was that I wasn't important enough to someone for them to support me and show up. And I think I found that a lot in my life that it's important to me to show up for others because I know what it feels like when no one shows up. And it's not a great feeling. So I think that was a huge fear of mine. And another fear before I started pulling more people into it, because I don't like to inconvenience people, a huge fear was, what if I can't do this all on my own? What if I'm not talented enough to really, I mean, I've got the vision, but what if I'm not talented enough to execute it? And so when I realized, oh, I can ask other people and they'd actually be excited to do this with me, then that fear went away because I thought I was inconveniencing people. Do you want to come over and help me paint this? Do you want to come over and help me create little jars of interesting things? And people were excited. So getting over my fear of thinking I had to be a one woman show and the fear of no one's going to show up, those were two huge obstacles. And notice they both have fear in them, right?
Absolutely.
Those
Yeah.
were two big things to get over.
Yeah. A lot. I talk a lot about the first voice and the second voice. And the first voice is the truth of who we are.
Mm,
It's who we are. It's our divine nature. It's the gifts that we've been given. It's who we know in our heart we're designed to be. And that often shows up in our desires. Like you had this desire to create this amazing experience to pull women together using your talents to fulfill your purpose, which is inclusion and making people feel happy and seen.
yeah.
That's your first voice. That's the part of you that's like, yes, this is like, I need to do this. And oftentimes, what happens, in fact, every time, not oftentimes, every time we start to take action on that first voice, that's when all the second voice comes in.
Mm,
That's all the noise. It's who's going to show up? Who am I to think that I can do this? And I have to do this all by myself. I don't know if I have the capacity for that.
yeah.
Right. And oftentimes those second voices can get so loud, it stops us. It gets in the way and we don't move forward. We feel paralyzed and stuck in fear. And the only way that I have found to move forward is that we turn the volume up on our first voice and we turn the volume down on our second voice. So I'm curious for you, what how did you tap into, what did you have to tap into in order to move past the fear, to feel the fear and do it anyway? What were some of the things that you resourced?
Another good question. I have two stories. One, the fear, the vision was just too good. The vision of what I could see in my house, and I could see it, was just way too good to let any second voice stop it. I got so giddy I listened to all the Harry Potter books on speed, right? Speed two to get through all of them and to make sure I knew all the little details. So the vision was just too good. And my creativity was so ridiculously excited to get going that I couldn't say no.
Yeah, I love that.
The second one was a little bit harder. So you and I have talked about this before. Me doing all of these things, I put a lot of pressure on myself. I put myself through a lot of unnecessary stress. I want to constantly be moving, be doing something, planning for the next event, planning for the next trip, planning so many different things. I was not paying attention to my body. And I put way too much value on what I was doing and that I would be letting people down if I didn't do it, that I was letting myself down inside. And I didn't realize that until for a couple weeks, I was just a sobby, weepy mess. I was not doing okay physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And I knew from some back spasms that happened in November that my body was screaming at me from the inside, telling me, you need help. But that fear came up again. The fear of, I don't know what to do. I don't want to do it by myself. This is not my realm of expertise. I am the creative. I don't want to figure this problem out. And it got so bad that it took a friend saying, what are you doing tomorrow? And can you be gone for a week? I'm taking you somewhere that can help you. But then that second voice that you talked about was yelling at me. Don't do it. It's going to be hard. You're going to get laughed at. This woman that wants to take you, even though it's really nice, she's not going to have the patience for you because you're not ready for this. The place where you're going, they're going to yell at you. They're going to push you beyond your limits. You're going to be screaming inside and tired and crying. So I ended up calling a friend and I couldn't even talk. My body was having such a huge response to that fear. And she's like, Jen, Jen. And I started like the hiccupy cry. And luckily, I called someone that does breath work. So she's like, in for four and out slowly. In for four, out slowly. What's going on? Right. In that moment, I think it took a friend to help me get over the fear, a friend to take my hand and say, we're going. I know you need this. And another friend to say, let's get you into that car. What can I do to help you? And it was what is it, like a 4 hour drive to get down there to this place that was really supposed to give me a big mind shift on taking care of my body, myself, that I had let go so much in so many different ways. It took the 4 hours, I think, driving down there, making the other woman talk as much as possible because I was on the brink of tears the whole entire way down there. So the vision was too good for creativity, but something that's way outside of my comfort zone, it took friends. It took calling on outside resources that I trusted, that I felt very safe with, to say, please help me through this.
Mm,
So, different fears that come up for different things, I think different tools can be used, you know?
absolutely. Yeah, and I love that you highlighted that the fear is real.
Yeah,
That the fear is always going to be there. It's not about the fear not being there. It's about walking with the fear.
yeah,
And sometimes walking with the fear is holding on to the vision. And I think I love the idea of spiritually creating what we want first, and that vision pulls us forward. I talk about the terror barrier, and I think that's exactly what you're talking about here with the fear.
yeah,
That the closer we get to our desire or stepping into something new, the bigger the terror gets. And that barrier can feel like the biggest, most daunting brick wall that is insurmountable. And the only two ways to get through that barrier that you mentioned was the vision that pulls us forward and support, that
Yeah.
we don't feel like we're going at it alone. And that support can be friends, that support can be God. You've mentioned that in all of the situations that you've talked about, that there was that feeling of support and there was that clarity of vision. It's like that knowing, like I know I'm meant to do this. Even the trip that you felt totally unprepared for and completely um, fear, like there was so much fear around that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a knowing in, I know I'm meant to do this.
I I don't know about that actually,
Okay, so tell me more about
because
that.
when I think I mentioned to you, because we were supposed to record this that week that I was whisked away, and it was so comforting to hear that you had been there, you had taught there, and I'm going to call the owner. And the owner was waiting for me when we got there and was so kind and so wonderful. But I was so filled with fear that I didn't have a vision of anything. I didn't have a vision of a healthy me on the other side of a week. I didn't have a vision. I was going into it so blindly, so broken, so humbled that I would have followed my friend anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But what came at the end of just 1 week, I couldn't believe it came after 1 week of moving my body, of sunshine, of breathing, of stretching in lots of different ways, of meeting some fantastic women down there. The vision came after. And because the vision came after, because I was nowhere near what I should be at the end of that week, but my mind had completely changed and I had the vision. And now that I have that vision, I am so pumped. I am so excited. I'm hopeful, but I did not have it going there. It truly, I don't know what took me there other than a friend taking my hand and pulling me one step at a time. I did not want to go. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't.
Yeah, I think you highlight a really beautiful point. It Belief is at the heart of every change that we make. I will be what I believe, right? What you did in that situation was borrow a belief,
Oh, I love that.
because that's totally okay. I think that's why we need mentorship and friendship and somebody else sometimes to hold the vision for us, because sometimes the vision feels too far out of reach. It feels like, well, I can't hold that vision for myself because I can't even fathom that possibility.
Bingo.
But somebody else, I can borrow their vision for me and I can borrow their belief to at least help me take this step forward. And
And because
that's,
I thought nothing was possible after a week, I think my fear of this woman who is just so kind, I thought she would lose patience with me because I thought I would still not have the vision when I came back home and that she would still need to be holding my hand. She would need to be there every single little step of the way. And I'm like, she's not going to have patience for me. I'm not worth it. I'm not worth her time. She's this, she's that, she's the other. She's already moved past this fear that I'm having right now. But she knew. She knew that I was going to feel that fire when I went down there. And you're right, I just had to borrow her vision. Not only her vision that she had for herself, but her vision for me.
mhm.
She knew it would make me feel better.
And what did you learn about yourself as you stepped into her vision for you and just took those baby steps forward? What did you discover?
That I am so capable. I I like to pretend that I'm really, really strong and that I don't need help and that I can do it all by myself. And that when you see my garden or when you see my vision of Witches Night or when you see the trips that I plan for other people, that I did that all by myself. And I didn't have to inconvenience anybody else. I didn't have to ask anybody else for anything. I did that. And when I And as I've been doing that, I've been hurting myself physically. So I have been needing to ask for help. And I've relied on other people, specifically my husband and my boys, so much to, can you carry this for me? Can you get this for me? My back can't handle it, or my this, my this, my this. But I was given the tools to strengthen my back. I was given the tools to do exercises in a different way to strengthen me, to where things I did not think I was capable of doing anymore, I started doing. And that thought process of, wait a minute, if I could do that, I bet I could do a little bit more. And I did it. I left nothing on the table when I went there. I learned that I am so much more capable than I thought I was, and that I have an amazing body that wants to support me, that wants to be loved by me. And I wasn't doing that. And I learned that talking to myself and giving myself beautiful breath every day carried me through the hard. I was able to literally rub my arm and say, I am so proud of you out loud. So proud of you for doing that. Can you believe what you just did? I ran. I have not run in I don't know how many years. Years. And I ran 5 miles down from stop sign. I ran the whole way down. And I put my hands on my legs and I said, do you see what you just did? You are incredible. You are capable. I can do hard things. I can do more than I thought I could. And I can love this body that's been given to me and show that love with words of affirmation, which happens to be one of my love languages. So I was able to tap into that. I feel so empowered and strong from coming away from that experience that I am going to offer that to people this summer. I want to be what she was for me. If you don't think you can, take my hand and let's do it together, because I believe in that place. I believe in what they're doing. And I walked away knowing that I can do whatever I set my mind to.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you got to know your body in this last week.
Yeah.
That oftentimes we try to we try to overcome our body. We try to distance ourselves from our body, or our body feels like it's betraying us.
Mm,
And what I am hearing in your experience is that the transformation came when you started seeing your body as your advocate, as a holder of wisdom, as your best friend.
yeah.
And as you started to listen to your body in a different way, what did you find opening up for you?
Honestly, I felt light inside and I felt hopeful. And I see a bright future. And I wish it wouldn't have taken me this long to figure it out. My whole life, I've wanted to be spoken to in a certain way. Words of affirmation, right? So if I get words that aren't so great, it hits me even deeper. If I get words that are amazing, it probably makes me feel 1,000 times better than someone that needs a gift, right? Or needs physical touch. I feel now that I have learned to communicate with a body that has been asking for my help in different ways, either by waking me up at night saying, I'm not doing well, not being able to sleep, injuries, all of these things. We haven't been communicating with each other. And again, I wish I wouldn't have learned this so late, but we have so many years ahead of us together that I am so excited for the future that we have, and that I'm going to treat her with so much dignity, so much respect, and so much love and caring. I'm really excited. I'm way excited for this.
It sounds like a whole new relationship that's unfolding. And I know for me, and we've talked about this before, but I've had my own journey with loving and appreciating my own body. And I think for a lot of years, I tried to shame or push myself into changing my body. And what I have discovered is that the most powerful transformation has come through honoring and loving and listening deeply to my body. And that even in the work that I do with my clients, there is deep wisdom that our body holds that is well beyond what our mind can even understand.
Yeah.
And when we start to tap in and listen deeply to our bodies, it opens up um, it opens up wisdom. It opens up a different way to communicate with God. I think that there is a very beautiful communication that happens with God when we start listening to our bodies in a way that He's always tried to communicate with us, but we've closed our ears and our hearts to.
That's beautiful. I've never thought about it that way before. I really like that.
Yeah, just another way to start listening and looking for those breadcrumbs just in a different place.
Yeah, I love it.
Well, Jen, this has been such a beautiful conversation, and I knew it would be. I just have admired and watched your story unfold. Um, it's been a blessing to have you in my life, and I just think the world of you. And I'm so excited for my listeners to hear your story and to hear who you are, because you'll as you all will see when you go onto Jen's account, she is every bit as amazing and extraordinary as I've said she is. And what is even more beautiful and extraordinary is the person you are underneath. And I'm really excited for people to get to hear and see and know
Thank you, Misty. I really appreciate that. And ditto, ditto, ditto.
that. Thank you. Thank you. So, we are going to sign off, but thank you all for being here today. If this is a message that resonated with you and you feel that someone else could benefit from hearing Jen's story, please share. It's how we get this word out and help so many other women do their extraordinary in their own very ordinary way. So thanks all for being here. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.